Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. The recent decision by the U.S. Federal Reserve to halt the transfer of funds to Iraq marks a significant turning point in the already strained financial relationship between Washington and Baghdad. This development did not come out of nowhere. It is rooted in long-standing concerns about Iraq's financial governance, systemic corruption, and the chronic exploitation of its dollar auction system. The Fed's move is not just about accounting procedures or regulatory disagreements. It reflects deep-seated unease over the integrity of Iraq's monetary infrastructure and its susceptibility to abuse by criminal and politically destabilizing elements. At the heart of the issue lies the U.S.-monitored dollar auction system operated by the Central Bank of Iraq. This mechanism, originally designed to stabilize the dinar and provide legitimate access to foreign currency for importers and businesses, has, over the years, become a magnet for fraud, money laundering, and illicit financing networks. For many observers, the system is emblematic of a broader failure to implement meaningful financial reforms in Iraq. Despite efforts by both U.S. and Iraqi officials to tighten regulations, impose stricter due diligence requirements, and modernize the banking infrastructure, the misuse of dollar auctions has remained a persistent problem. Billions of dollars have reportedly been siphoned off through fake import invoices, front companies, and shell banks that exist only to manipulate foreign exchange flows and profit from the discrepancy between official and market exchange rates. The problem is not simply one of criminal behavior, it is an institutional crisis. It stems from decades of weak oversight, a fragile rule of law environment, and deeply embedded corruption within Iraqi state institutions. The Federal Reserve's decision is, in effect, a vote of no confidence in the ability or willingness of the Iraqi financial system to self-regulate in a credible manner. It is also a message to global financial markets that Iraq remains a high-risk environment for monetary transactions, particularly those involving the US dollar, which remains the world's reserve currency and a backbone of international trade. The Federal Reserve's recent actions indicate that confidence is precisely what is lacking. When the US, as custodian of global reserve currency flows, feels that Iraq cannot be trusted to use US dollars transparently and in accordance with agreed-upon procedures, that signals a fundamental breakdown in cooperation. It also means that any attempt by Iraq to reintroduce its currency into international circulation at a higher exchange rate would likely be met with skepticism, resistance, or even sanctions. The Fed's decisions are not made in a vacuum. They influence corresponding decisions at institutions such as the IMF, World Bank, and international credit agencies, all of which would need to support or endorse any RVI effort for it to be viable. Moreover, the internal political landscape in Iraq adds another layer of complexity. The country continues to struggle with fragmented governance, with competing factions within parliament and ministries often undermining central policy implementation. Corruption remains rampant, as evidenced by recent scandals involving embezzlement, ghost employees on government payrolls, and massive gaps in public budgeting. These challenges erode the credibility of any monetary policy Iraq may attempt to execute. A revaluation is not simply a technical adjustment, it is a signal of institutional strength, and currently, Iraq lacks the governance capital to make such a signal believable. Additionally, Iraq's increasing reliance on informal and parallel financial systems, including hawala networks and regional money changes, further complicates the matter. These systems, while sometimes necessary in fragile economies, are opaque by nature and easily exploited by illicit actors. They undermine efforts to bring the financial system under regulatory oversight, making any currency reform effort difficult to control or monitor. In such an environment, introducing a new exchange rate would be both dangerous and destabilizing. Furthermore, Iraq's pivot to alternative currencies, such as the yuan, has implications for its broader economic alliances. While it may allow Iraq to bypass some dollar-related scrutiny in the short term, it risks alienating the US and other Western partners whose support is crucial not only for security but also for economic reform and reconstruction efforts. The yuan is not freely convertible, and China's monetary policies are tightly controlled. Increased exposure to the yuan means exposing Iraq's economy to the vagaries of Chinese state policy, something that carries its own set of risks and complications. Taken together, all these issues make it abundantly clear that the idea of an imminent RV or RI is not grounded in current realities. The train is not at the station. In fact, it may not have even departed the yard. Those who believe in an any-second-now scenario are misreading the signs or ignoring the deeply embedded problems that still plague Iraq's monetary system. Wishful thinking and speculative enthusiasm cannot substitute for institutional credibility and structural reform. This is not to say that Iraq will never stabilize its currency or reintegrate with global financial markets. There is potential, and there are serious reformers within Iraq who are pushing for transparency, anti-corruption measures, and digital modernization of the banking sector. The recent push to establish a real-time gross settlement system, RTGS, introduce biometric verification, and digitize payroll and pension systems are positive steps in the right direction. However, these efforts are nascent, and they must be seen through to completion before any meaningful currency transformation can occur. Patience, not speculation, will be the most valuable asset for those genuinely interested in Iraq's economic future. The path forward involves painstaking work, rebuilding institutional trust, overhauling legal frameworks, purging corrupt networks, and fostering partnerships with credible international allies. Only once Iraq demonstrates a sustained commitment to these reforms will the conditions be right for serious discussions about currency revaluation or reinstatement. Until then, caution is warranted. The Federal Reserve's withdrawal is not merely a temporary setback. It is a loud and clear signal that Iraq's financial system is still in crisis. Observers and investors alike should take heed. Do not be fooled by optimistic timelines or unverified rumors. The future of the Iraqi dinar depends not on hopes or hype, but on the hard and often thankless work of building a system worthy of trust. Thanks for tuning into Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed, and stay ready.